Hopefully this is coming through. Um, so I'm going to be forging and streaming this while I do it. I figure if I'm going to spend the time forging, I may as well spend a little bit of extra effort required to live stream it. So I haven't streamed in a long time, and those of you that follow my channel for my tech reviews, this will probably seem a little bit out of character or out of the norm for me. But actually, this is what my channel originally started as, is a Halo Forge content creation and showcase channel. And back in the day, I had a decent number of people that I would collaborate with in the Forge community. Now I have since shifted away to do more of the tech review stuff, but I figure, why not kind of jump back into it a little bit. So yeah, if this isn't what you're here for, then this content's not for you. But for those of you that have been here for a long time, it might be nice to actually see me forging again. And with Halo Infinite having such phenomenal tools available to us, now it's still in beta. It still has a lot of bugs to be worked out, but the potential is there, and it makes me very excited. So those of you that know me from the Forge community likely associate me with the Terminal, the Halo 2 multiplayer map pack Terminal. That is probably the map I'm most known for. One sec. So I'm actually going to be making a version of that. So yeah, we'll just get started here. Like I said, there's still some bugs to be worked out. And I apologize again, I have not streamed in a long time, so I'm going to be kind of tinkering with that while I'm doing this, so I apologize in advance. Roman style Halo 3 map. Coliseum. Wow, that is a throwback. Sorry. American Bloodhound. Bro, your maps have always been insane. I remember the Roman style Halo 3 map. What was that map called? Coliseum. Holy crap. Yeah, I didn't even know. Wow, that's a throwback, man. That's an old one. I mean, to be fair, there were only you only had so much flexibility in Halo 3. People still use that, and made some pretty amazing things. So there were several Coliseum maps, so it could be I made the one you're thinking of, or it could have been made by someone else. But regardless, yeah, it was a good time. Halo 3 forging. Man, how far we've come, right? So I apologize. Again, I'm figuring this out as I go. I'll be taking breaks periodically to check the chat. I have a 32:9 monitor that I'm using, which is phenomenal for gaming, but it is full screen. It's my only monitor, so I have to close. I have to kind of minimize the game to check the comments, so I apologize for that. But we'll get through this together. I have a feeling this will not be the last time I do this, so it'll improve the more I do this. So. Your question, how did I get the pieces to be inside each other? So this is a very common technique. I by no means came up with it. It was just kind of prolific in the community. And that's what's crazy is there wasn't Forge Hub. There weren't forums. I mean, maybe there were forums, but they were so little known at the time. There wasn't the kind of community you have now, where you can easily just YouTube something and look it up. You had to figure the stuff out, or you had to know someone who figured it out. And this was not a technique that I by any means developed, but what we would do is you'd spawn an object, because there was no phased physics. I can grab this piece here, and I can move it horizontally, and it will phase through this other piece if I have the physics set to phase. That was not a thing in Halo 3. So to get them to be in each other, you'd you'd put one item in, and you couldn't even put something floating in the air. So, heaven forbid, you wanted to like phase something that was floating in the air. What you'd have to do is put an object in, and then in the object properties, you say, I want this to spawn in 30 seconds after the round starts. Then you had to save and exit or start a new round. Then you had 30 seconds to place the other block exactly where you needed it. And then let go of it, let it settle, because it had to it'd be kind of like normal physics for a second until it found a settling point, and then it would freeze, and that would be its permanent position. Once it froze and settled, the other block would pop in and they're phased, but you gotta just hope you got them lined up correctly. So I'd put down like spawn points to mark the corners and think like, holy cow, dude! Like the fact that any of us even tried to use Forge and Halo 3 as a map builder is a testimony to like how creative people are, and also just like the desire is definitely there. Like the need is there to have some sort of creative outlet for people when it comes to Halo content. So yeah, like because of Halo Infinite, I haven't played Halo Infinite in a while, but because it has these great tools available now, I've really gotten back into it because I almost feel obligated. I'm not like a prolific forger anymore, but I almost feel like in a way obligated to get back into it and just revisit, do what I'm familiar with. I'm very familiar with this map, making it in Halo 5. So I was like, I kind of feel an obligation to hop on and kind of see what's what. So, yeah. Okay. This is what I got so far. This is the train station, obviously, where the trains are going to pass through. There's almost so much you can do that it's difficult. It's almost imposing to know where to start. So the first thing I wanted to get down before I got into any detail work was the scale of the map. Like I had to get that right, because if I made it just a little too small or a little too big, it would be a real pain to have to go through the entire map and scale everything, down or up. So I'm really hoping I got it right. I won't know if I got it right till I get some playtesters in here, but thank goodness you can actually use bots now to playtest. Now they're not going to play exactly the way real people do, but hey, at the peak of like my Forge days, I could snap my fingers and get a full lobby of people to test. Like there were just so many people making maps and wanting to share it. Like we could do that, but not everyone had access to that kind of community. So being able to just like spawn in a full lobby of bots to, at the very least, stress test your map a little bit, get an idea of like if it's overcrowded or exploits that the bots might use that you didn't think of. So it's awesome. It's not the same as using real people, but it's definitely huge that you can do that. So when the map is at a certain point, I'll start integrating bots into it. So anyway, the scale of the map is like the most important thing to get right near the beginning. So here's the thing. This map is actually a little bit compact. It's a little deceptive. It plays relatively big, but it's really not that big of a map. And this becomes really obvious. I originally had these like to scale. You can see these warthogs lined up here. It's hard to find an object in another Halo game that you can reference in a modern Halo game that's the same size. The only thing that's like really close is the warthog, right? I think the warthog's even gotten a little bit bigger. But it's at least something, right? So it's roughly 20 feet long or 20 game units long. So I've been using that as kind of a ruler. I started out with it roughly 1-to-1, but I quickly realized that the movement speed is so much faster in Halo Infinite. Just the walking speed alone is faster, and the fact that you can sprint. Now, the delta between regular walking speed and sprint isn't huge. It's like, I want to say 15% or something. Like, it's not huge. And the vehicles, too. The vehicles, their top speed, they feel faster, but they also accelerate much faster, which in an objective-based game like Capture the Flag or Assault, getting in a vehicle and being able to just take off instantly is huge, right? So that's the thing, is I need to scale up the map to make it, even just to play the same. Even if to make it feel the same size, I would have to scale the map up just for movement speed alone. The other thing, so the way I did that is I kept scaling these tiles. So if you look on the original Halo 2 map terminal, these roads are made of like these equidistant panels that are all the same size. And even there, I noticed several areas where they use the road as kind of a guide of like where to hit certain things. Like they all either it's a huge coincidence or they were using the road as a guide. But a lot of the buildings like start and end on these grooves that you see in the road in the original Halo 2 map. So that made it super easy to reference and say, hey, I may not know the exact size, but I know the proportions, right? So as long as I can scale the map to a point where it feels right, then I know I'm placing stuff in the right location. So the way I did that is I timed myself. So I went all the way down to the back of the road and just walked in as straight of a line as I could. Now the road curves, but I walked in as straight of a line as I could from one end to the other, just walking and timed it. And I did it like 3 times. I did it like 100 times, but once I got it to a point where I felt like it was right, I did it 3 times, got an average, and then did the same thing in Halo 2, 3 times, got an average. And what I wanted is I could narrow down at least so that the map plays the same way. Right, and same with vehicle speed. I wanted it to take the same amount of... The distance doesn't matter as much as the time. I wanted to take the same amount of time, or originally I wanted to take the same amount of time to get from one end of the map to the other. But then I realized this is no longer... Big Team's no longer in 8v8 game type anymore. It's now 12v12. So not only... if I scaled it up so that the movement speed matched the size of the map, that would still only be appropriate for 8v8. I have to further increase it to take into account the fact that there's going to be 50% more people on the map at a given time, right? We're going from 16 to 24, right? I hope my math is right on that. But there's more people on the map. And if you kept it 8x8 size, it would be overcrowded, right? So I'm resolving that by 2 things. I made the map a little bigger. You can probably notice here. It manifests here. You can kind of see the walkway is taller. It's wider. But it's proportionately the same, right? Like it's just scaled up in certain areas. The other thing I'm doing is in my head, I haven't actually built any of this yet. I'm adding additional encounter points, right? So on the original map, if you get stuck down here, like let's say you get into an encounter and you feel like you're going to lose it, and so you drop down, right? That's not a huge punishment because there's this little doorway here and there's this road here. But look how far I have to run now. It's I understand not creating too many pathways, especially redundant ones, but you also don't want to have it so there's just big spaces where you don't have an out, like you don't have anywhere to go. There's no real advantageous reason to be down here, so not having any way out of this position like really sucks. So what I'm going to do, this is just one example, is add a little stairway under here that goes up into an elbow and over and then comes back this way. So you can get from down at the bottom here up to this location without having to run over to those stairs or go inside of here and go around and up. So I think both scaling it up a bit and adding these other avenues to travel where people can just be, so they're not all flooded to the same locations, will make it work for 12v12. This is all speculation. I won't know for sure until I get some bots on here. Here's an example of another one. So in the original map, there is only this doorway to go up to the 2nd floor of the parking garage. What I'm adding is another doorway to go down to the 1st floor of the parking garage. Just to give you some options, but again, also to just add other places for people to be. And if you remember in the original map, a big chunk of this is blocked off because it's frankly just wasted space. But even like the remaining part of it is all wasted. Like there's no reason for it to even be there. So I think by adding a path down there, it kind of lets this now be usable space, which just adds surface area, real estate for people to be in, right? And the more spread out and fragmented I can get people, the less of an issue of overcrowding we're going to have. This is all speculation. I have no idea how this is actually going to shake out. So... I could place weapon spawn. I assume you mean down here in this pathway. I could. And here's the thing, too, is I'm going to leave a lot of the weapon spawns alone. Because in my opinion, it doesn't super matter where they are. I don't want to put, obviously, a sniper in some place where it'd be advantageous to have a sniper. I want you to have to travel to get it and come back, like the kind of risk-reward thing. But the sword originally spawned here in the middle of the tracks, and... like, that's fine. The sword can spawn there, and the shotgun spawned here, and that's fine. The rocket spawned over here because the wraith spawns on the other end. So you don't want to just directly give the attacking team a rocket, but putting it in a place where they will definitely get it first if they're going for it means they have something to counter the tank. So a lot of the weapon placement I will just leave alone. The thing I have to add on, though, is equipment pickups. So... maybe I'll add a power weapon down there, but I also need a place to put equipment. So that might be a good one to use. I 100% will be using the grapple hook. And something I'm really excited to see is once I get the train functioning, you can see kind of my train prototypes here. Once I get the train functioning, I would love to see if you can pull like a full Spider-Man 2 and just like basically grapple the train and just take it for a ride. I have no idea. That's what's so fun about Infinite Sandbox. Now, it has its flaws, but the sandbox itself is pretty good. Like, you just think of things and try it, and then more often than not, it works. Like, the physics just let you do it. So, if you have a grapple hook and you can literally just, like, jet ski behind the train across the map, I mean, how wicked would that be? So... 100% the grapple hook's going on here. Even if it just doesn't work and it just can't latch to the train or whatever, the grapple hook, because there's so much verticality in this map, is really going to help. And I think the repulsor, because we have a wraith, so being able to repulse the wraith shots. Something else I've toyed with is adding a hornet. You know, adding yet another layer. Because the hornet wouldn't have made much sense on the original, but I think it's big enough now. Especially when I'm not flying around as a monitor, when I'm flying around in an actual Hornet. It actually... here, I'll spawn one for you. Hopefully one spawns. No, it's a chopper, but... yeah, this is my, like, scripting brain here. You should see that take off in just a second. Yeah, there it goes. Over there. There's so much to this. Like, I can open... Let me go out of edit mode or play mode and go to this script brain. This is like literally just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much you can do. I know I can get the train working. It's more, do I have... I could get the train working, but can I get the train working? I don't know. Like, I'm a software developer. I have some experience with visual scripting, but this is all still relatively new for... it is very new for me. I know it could work. I just don't know exactly how yet. And it's buggy. It's definitely buggy. So I'm confident I can get it to work in some form or fashion and be able to add in things like the curve and the hump that were down here that I couldn't add in Halo 5. Because Halo 5, it was a heck of an effort just to get it to go straight, reliably. Let alone adding in things like a curve or a hump. And then also a train has cars to it. So each car has to move independently but still stick together enough that it looks like a train. The whole thing can't just move up and down or side to side. It doesn't look right. It's going to leave the track. So you have to have each car move independently but still be tight together. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. I don't know where I went with this, but to answer your question, I could put something down there to make it as an incentive, but I do just like the idea of having a staircase there. But the way I'm building it, I'm making sure that there are doors, and these doors are standard size. So in some game types, you can have it where maybe a capture the flag, this doorway sealed off to be like the original. Or maybe people just, after testing, I realize, that's actually not really a good idea, and that shouldn't really be there. I can easily just block it off with a door, and then it just looks like a closed door. You wouldn't even think twice about it. You don't realize it actually goes down there. But I want to kind of make those avenues and plan for them, and then have every avenue available, and then just kind of close them off if I end up not using them. So, all right, let's see. Okay, something that I got in theory working on Halo 5, but in practice never actually worked properly, was a clock. I had a giant clock in my first iteration of the map I remade in Halo 5 that had an hour hand, a minute hand, and a second hand that started at 117, right, 117, and then each second the second hand would move, 6 degrees or whatever it is, and then every 60 seconds the minute hand would move 6 degrees, and then if you were to let it play long enough, the hour hand would move. And in practice, it worked. Like when I looked at it, it would move as expected. But in the actual gameplay, the arms would just move off of the dial and just kind of float up into the sky. So I did it right, but there was just something quirky with Halo 5 scripting where when you actually loaded up a game, the arms would move all over the place. But I'm confident enough in Halo Infinite's scripting that I think I want to add in that clock. So, yeah. As far as the theme goes, I want to stick to the original. I want this to be new/old Mombasa circa 2552. The Covenant War is raging. It's just a reimagining of the original. Same setting. I even put the sun in the same location, so the shadows are being cast in the same places, so that the lighting has a huge impact on the way a map looks. And yeah, just doing that alone really started to make the map feel like the original. But I wanted to really lean into the future Africa super city aesthetic, and with the Forge budget we have, and these are just pieces that I have discovered when trying to find something else. I'm like, oh, I'm going to use this for something, and I'll kind of grab it and move it over here. But we can really make a pretty convincing city map, I think. So, will you hide a sniper perch and weapon? The attacker's base was usually kind of the sniper perch, and the sniper was placed here, roughly in the middle, is a little bit closer to the attackers. Mostly because I think because the attackers don't have a huge incentive for the sniper. It's more of a defensive weapon than an offensive weapon. You're usually staying somewhere secure and trying to hit people long range than going into a base and attacking with a sniper. So I don't think I'll hide one. What I am going to do is go straight up die hard with these vents and make a way to get into this third floor. If you remember, on the defender side, there's a third floor that you can just randomly spawn into. You can jump down through a couple of windows and through a vent and down into your own base. But once you're down, there's no real way to get up without parking a Warthog and then having a teammate stay on the Warthog and then jumping in a teammate's head, and then you jump and they jump and then you jump on their head and you can get up there. Short of that, that's not something you can practically do in-game. There wasn't a way up there. What I'm going to do, and again, maybe this is a horrible idea, but I'll just close it off if it doesn't work. I'm going to have a vent system down here. There's a trash pickup bay where a dump truck would come in and pick up trash and stuff. And there I'm going to have an entrance to a vent that will take, we got all kinds of vent types here, and I can resize them and scale them and whatever. And you can basically just treat it like a vent and shoot up to the top. I'm imagining kind of like Headlong. Headlong in Halo 2, you had vents that you can kind of ride up to the top. That's kind of what I'm picturing here. So I want to do all this, test it out, and then just wall off whatever doesn't work. But I want to build it with those kind of things in mind. That's the idea, at least. Oh, put an Easter egg in for people who watch the live stream. I mean, probably. Here's the thing: is you have such a big budget now that I want to do things that make it feel like you're just in a small part of a much broader setting that's happening irrespective of you being there. If I could explain, it's basically like this gate here. I could wall that off and make it easy on myself and not have anything behind it. I want to make you see through it, though. I want you to see a street down here and then an intersection and then barriers and sandbags and maybe some marine and covenant bodies and stuff to give the illusion that there's a battle going on around you and you're just in this train station. There's a much broader world out there. It kind of helps you not feel like this is just a multiplayer map and a simulation, but like you're actually in a broader universe. So the reason I say that is I'll have plenty of opportunities to add in things like Easter eggs that you can only see if you're looking at the map. And in Halo, like Bungie Halo days, they would do that routinely. There'd be things that you could see out, like way outside the map, that were Easter eggs just for people who happen to be paying attention. So, but to answer your question, probably not going to hide a full-on sniper, with infinite ammo or something, because it would take 5 minutes for someone to find it, and then everyone would know where it is, and everyone would be using it. So, it wouldn't be much of an Easter egg for long. Okay, so what do I want to accomplish tonight? And let me know if the audio levels and everything are okay. I have some light music playing and my voice and a mic right here. But yeah, let me know how that's coming through. I really need to... I got carried away doing the detail work in here. I'm really happy the way this turned out. Or is turning out, rather. But I really need to do... I always do this where I get fixated on how I want this to look. And I ignore blocking out the rest of the map. I very well might discover in 100 hours from now that I have to resize this whole thing. Even if it's by like 3 feet. And then all this detail work I've done, I need to then basically redo. So it's a bad idea to do that, but I got carried away and couldn't help it because I kept finding cool stuff to add and messing with textures. And the actual wood texture I used is Mombasa wood, which is pretty cool. And these are destructible too. If you remember in the original terminal map, these were glass panels. As far as I've seen, there's no destructible glass panels. There's glass panels, but they're not destructible, like this one here. But they do have this railing, which I think looks great. It like fits the part perfectly, and that's fully destructible. So it, in practice, is functionally the same. It just looks different, but still matches the theme. So I was very excited to discover that. It was basically discovering that. I just went in this rabbit hole of like trying to make this feel like a real train station, and I need to not get fixated on that. I need to get back to just blocking out the rest of the map. One thing that's been really helpful this time around is I have my Steam Deck that I have right here next to me as reference. I don't have to like have 2 games running at once and flip between them, or shut this down and start up Halo, or have another TV over here with an Xbox running on it. I'd literally just reference my Steam Deck, and if my memory's a little foggy, I can just look over and be like, oh no, it looks like this. This has been so invaluable. It's insane, like how helpful it has been to have it here and just be able to like at a glance be like, oh cool, that's how that actually looked. So many times I like am thinking of it a certain way in my head, but it's actually not at all how I remember. Okay, where to start? I think this is going to be kind of boring, but I think I need to get these walls in. Yeah. Yeah, I'll do these walls. So there should be a wall right here. Oh, no, not here. Right here, covering the half. In like referencing the map, I found a lot of very intentional like sightline blockers. For example, when you're up here, the opening for the train cuts off right about here. And I really think that's because the developers wanted it to be a gamble to jump off this, because you couldn't see if the train was coming. So if you get in an encounter and you want to get out of the way and jump down, you couldn't see the train until it was too late. So you were it was a gamble to just be like, well, I'll drop down here, but I literally will have like milliseconds of notice if I drop down and boom, there's a train, which is hilarious. The train is it's like butter. Like you just add the train into anything and it makes it a million times better. I'm so excited for the game types. Strongholds in Halo 5, I put one of the strongholds centered right here on the track. That was so much freaking fun, because you and your buddies would all have to line up to like be one behind the other to avoid getting hit, by either train. And then like fighting someone on the track and just seeing them just like absolutely wiped from existence in an instant. Oh my gosh. Because it incentivizes you to stay on the tracks, which is exactly what you don't want to do if you don't want to get hit by the train. So much fun. I'm very excited, if you can't tell. A lot of opportunities here. I think I will... I will continue building this wall here. Yeah, let me do that. And this just goes straight up. For future streams, I think I'll find a way to connect my deck's output into the stream so you can see what I'm seeing in MCC as well as what I'm seeing in the Halo Infinite. But for now, you'll just have to look at me looking down at my Steam Deck. It's just a big rectangular opening with a couple jump ups on either side of this bridge. Now, I made myself kind of a calculator to determine how big to make certain things. So there's these tiles that are perfectly square on the floor of the station and several other places. And I figured out how big they are in Halo Infinite by comparison, and then how big I need to make those same units to scale it up the way I want it. So basically what it comes down to is one of those tiles is equal to 3.46 Infinite units, Halo Infinite units. So as I'm building something and I can look at it here and see it's like 5 tiles across, then I know I can put in 5 tiles, and I know the item I'm making has to be 17.29 units wide to be, and then I can just reliably use that wherever I see those tiles and know it's not the exact same size, it's scaled up, but I know it's proportionate. Like I'm not inadvertently making this station wider than it is long, like only scaling it up one in the Y direction and not the X direction. So at least I'm staying consistent. Now I may get done with this whole thing and realize I made it way too big or way too small or whatever, but at least it's going to be consistent the whole way around. So, with that in mind, how many tiles wide is it before we get to the drop down? It's basically just right in line with this. So yeah, we could just leave it exactly like that. That's the drop down. And then this opening is roughly 3 tiles wide. And 3 tiles would be, it's like 9 or something, 10.37. And I kind of round, I like to go by like tenths and not hundredths if I can avoid it. It just makes it a lot easier to line things up. So if I get within like hundredths of units, I just got killed by the train. Then that's good. You're not going to notice any difference there, like hundredths of units. So, yeah. So it needs to come 10.4 units this way, whatever I put in there. So I will see what kind of walls we have available. Now again, I'm playing on a 16:9, so I have my tool kit, over here on my left. I think it's outside of the scope of what you can see. So walls, let's see. All standard, okay. I think they just expect you to resize it as needed. Yeah, getting used to these controls is a little tricky. How high should I make this? Yeah, that's good. Ooh. Does the wall need to curve down with this? Let's take a look. Oh no, it doesn't. There is a huge building over it. So this can go as high as I need it to. It's going to be covered by a building regardless. So that is actually fine. Yeah, this can go as high as I need it to. Oh, those are 45-degree angles? Oh, yes. Okay. That looks like about... what? Oh, and MCC just crashed. That's been happening to me last couple times I've done this. Is that 5 units wide? It's not. Oof. The other thing is I have kind of a standardized like spacing for these things, and I've been planning on making these 5 units wide. And I really want that to be 5 units wide. Shoot. Yeah. That's 5 units. Okay, well, that's fine. Ooh, but what do I do with this? Let's think for a minute. This one would be easy. I can just scale this one to 5. And honestly, it's actually supposed to be here. I'm not sure why I put it there. It's supposed to be right about there. That will match the width of the wall. It's this one here that's going to be a little tricky. Because... ooh, okay. I have to do some math on this one. I didn't realize how much math I'd be using in Forge. Let's see. Now I will have to move this back, but just to get it lined up. So that's lined up there. It's like I could do the math and figure it out, or I can just scale it till it looks right. That looks good. So an even 20 units. Yeah, this is what I was afraid of, see. If I do it there, that makes this whole thing much wider. So where does that put me? Get these signs out of here. See if we have any questions. I'm coming through super clear. Okay, that's good. I can there. That might be better. Okay. Thank you. I try to... I mean, I put the detail in where I think it matters. And I'm also, like, highly fixated on some things, which helps sometimes, but also means, like, making maps takes me, like, forever, because I can't just be satisfied with something. Okay. So that's good there. Nice. And then move this to... one more. Okay. Alright, that's not too bad. We could still make a... Actually, I think it lines up, like, literally perfectly with the edge of this. Ooh, there are magnet attachments there. It does. Oh my gosh. Ooh. Okay. Get this lined up. Oh, that's right. I can't scale the doors. This is what I'm talking about. There's this weird stuff like this where you're not allowed to scale it. You know? I could scale it widthwise up like higher than 10. I can't scale the depth at all whatsoever. You see, it's not changing at all. And then if I mess with it too much, it just disappears. But it still exists, so I have to, like, find it and then delete it. It's kind of a pain, but whatever. Okay, that is not lined up correctly. That's good right there. Actually, it has to come out a little bit more. There we go. Well, if I had to come halfway out, I could actually just put like 2 door frames in, since I can't scale it. This is what I'm talking about. I get too fixated on stuff like this when I need to be like, yeah, that door works, and move on to the next spot. Okay. Where were we? Oh yeah, so this is going to need the same treatment. If I remember correctly, this was 20 by 20. Oh man, these controls are... Ugh. It's really hard to get it to just move in one dimension. There are like third-party scripts basically that you can apply and make it work the way it's supposed to. See, this is what I'm talking about. See this? I very clearly grabbed the red arrow. Nonsense. Alright. So, finally back to where we were. So Y direction's good. We need to scale this up to like 50. Yeah, that's pretty close. I mean, this doesn't... This is what I'm talking about. Like, this does not matter at all because this is all going to be hidden. But here I am, worried about it. 53 units high. That's good. That doesn't look quite right. There we go. Oh, I love whole units. Okay. Now how do I handle this part? So this happens when my game crashes. I think I just need a skinny piece there, and then I can go as far as I want with the next one. So let's go ahead and duplicate that. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Sometimes it'll just put it way off somewhere, and you're like, why? That only needs to be like 10 units high. Nah, like 15. How far down do I make these? Oh, more than that. How tall do I make these? These are 40. Okay, yeah, well, that sounds good. Let's look at 40. Booting up MCC again. I found if you like move your cursor toward the magnet you want, it will use that one, but if you make your pieces long, it's hard to get the arrows and the magnets in the same screen. I guess we don't really need this whole treatment. I thought that was 5. So he's trying to match that one. Alright, I don't really need the magnets for this. I could just move the units. That's good. That's good. Cool. Oh, I've not saved in a while. That's the other thing, is you need to save all the time. It's very unforgiving. Music is much clearer. Okay, good. And I want to make sure the music isn't too loud either. This should be... Yeah, see, I was afraid of that. I'm just going to leave it alone. I'll deal with the Z fighting later. If I can avoid having to like offset things by tenths of units, I will. But yeah, in this case, I do need to have it covered. Okay, now I got a nice flat wall to work with, and I can make this go over as far as I need it to. This now needs to go full top to bottom. So if I did 60 on top, 40 on bottom, then this should be 53 and 40 on bottom, so 93 should be what we're dealing with. Turn on the magnets. Turn off the magnets, and there we go. That should be pretty much... Nope, that's not right. So, oh, the height of the door. That's right. All right, well, let's bring it down then, since it's moving from origin. Some of these, like... I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but when I expand something, sometimes if I make it wider and I'm staring at it, it will get wider on both sides. And on other things, when I make it wider, it will just get wider on one side. So in those, it helps to line it up on the side that doesn't move, and then you increase the height of the other one. Otherwise, if it increases on both, then you have to like increase it and then move it and increase it and move it and increase it and move it. And so you like find the center and eventually get it lined up. It's much easier this way, but I don't know how to like force it to be manipulated like that. 3, 13, 16, 115.5, 115. Okay, cool. Great. Okay. Now, how many units over does it need to be? I think I said it needs to be 3 blocks from this position, which is 10.37, which I will call 10.4. So what I will do, all right, it's moving from that corner, so I can make this, that looks like, what, 40? Oh, what a guess! Oh, literally 40. Literally 40. Wow, okay. And now it needs to get moved 10.3 back in. So that's 29, no, 10.4. So 29.6. That is our width. Ooh, look at that. That's just a ruler. Okay, I don't actually need that anymore. I'm like, ooh, what did I line up on accident that fit perfectly? You know what's great about sticking to a grid, especially like at tenths, is I know this wall, I'll have to check the map to confirm, but it should be the exact same size over here. So I should be able to just duplicate it, move to the same location, and be good to go. All right, sorry, let me open up terminal again. I had this thing running for like a day and a half in the same terminal map. No issues whatsoever. And then for whatever reason, starting yesterday, it started just crashing randomly. Like sometimes it would take 5 seconds to crash, and sometimes it would like be good for 2 hours and crash. Like you saw, it crashed on me just a minute ago. So I don't know. I tried going back to a previous Proton version, and that seemed to help the stability a little bit. Made it a habit to always save right before I change back to test form, like human Spartan form, because that seems to be when it crashes, is going from for edit to player. Oh, I bet you can make that, which would be cool. Man, I bet someone more talented than me can make that. Actually, it wouldn't be the same width because we don't have a door on this side. We could have a door on this side. Yeah, no, we can't use the same thing. It looks different. But this wall, no, that wall won't be visible. Okay. It matches up with the edge of the platform. Okay. So I know the dimensions of the first wall of this big tall building that's going to go here. I'm telling you, man, they like lined things up, I think, to make life easier on themselves. So like a lot of, I don't know, you'll just find the same things intersect at multiple locations, and it's like, all right, that has to be intentional. I need it to be 10.4 units away from here. So the easiest way to do that. I will actually, you know what? And like rotating things is like a pain, because I can move it what feels like 2 pixels and it will just flip all the way around. And other times I'll move like my mouse across my entire like 8-foot desk and it will only turn like 20 degrees. It's really annoying. Look at that. Lighting, that's nice. Oh, there's so many options for lighting now too. I've seen so many Forge videos in the last few days. I know this is where that's lined up. And this on the X is sitting at negative 686.3. So this will go negative, oh, actually, no. Because this axis is on that side and that's on this side, so it actually needs to move 5 degrees less. So instead of 686.3, it needs to be 681.3. Yeah, that looks good. Yeah, that seems right. And that, let me double check the height. 61.5. 61.5. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is in the right spot. Now I just need to get it over So it's 10.4 units off of that center thing. Am I gonna guess it perfectly right again? I'm gonna guess. Oh, that was close. Hey, that was pretty close. I mean, less than a unit off? Exactly a unit off. 69, should have guessed. The fact that these keep lining up at whole numbers is a really promising sign. So now 10.4 units less would be 58.6, right? 10 would be 59. 10.4 would be 58.6, yeah. Okay, that should look pretty symmetrical now. Let's save real quick. It's fun getting up a couple of walls and being like, okay, yeah, like this feels, you know, like terminal in this location. It is bigger. It is for sure bigger. You could easily clear this gap in the original. This is where I'm saying scaling it has some unintended consequences, because you have places where this is now a really long, unobstructed sight line. I tried to resolve that by putting this, you know, I'm going to do some sort of holographic warning or something like station closed or something like that. Or just a map. I don't know what I'm going to do just yet. But I want you to be able to see through it, but not be able to shoot through it. Right? I want you to be able to, like, use that a little bit. And people will routinely try to drive warthogs in here, and I want them to still be able to do that. So there is enough room here to get a warthog through pretty easily. But, you know, here's a consequence of having to scale it up, is now this jump is no longer... Maybe it's possible, but I think maybe for most players it would be very tricky. This jump is definitely not possible. This normally has a little piece that comes out, but I think even with that, you are not going to be able to hit that jump. Oh yeah, there's no way. So you have to think of that. Like, I really don't, especially because the map is bigger, I don't want this long walkway to be the only way to get into the station from this road. So what I'm going to do is you have to get kind of creative and be like, well, what is going to add accessibility to it without breaking the map? I think you can't jump to it, but I think if I had a row of, and the wall comes down pretty much to the floor here, I believe. I can look at my Steam Deck and know for sure immediately. It's priceless being able to have this thing here. It does. It comes down exactly to the floor. The wall. So there's a wall covering you here. So I think right along the wall, if I have a bunch of planters, and I have some planters in mine that are breakable, so it's kind of an added thing. If you're the first one to jump across, you get to like smash a bunch of planters as you run across, and have like moss hanging from it. Oh, and then when you're driving in, you'll see the moss hanging down. Oh yeah, that's what I'll do. So you basically run, jump, and then run across the planters all the way to here. And that way it's like you can still traverse this, right? So in that way, it's functionally still there, even though you can't jump the gap, you can still traverse this location. So you have to, you know, when you're messing with the scaling and you're using a different game engine and the movement's different, like you have to kind of problem solve. Oh, okay, yeah, you can definitely clear it. But, hey, I mean, that's a cool little kind of skill incentive, you know. Like, you have to get 99% plus. Okay, I think it gets easier the more you do it. Yeah, I mean, you could do it. I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's, like, barely possible. So much of Halo, I mean, I'm sure it's true in most first-person shooters, but so much of Halo is risk-reward and skill jumps and, like, rock, paper, scissors, you know. Do I risk going for this jump and falling down, or do I run around the safe way? And if I fall down, do I make it so they can get back up? Technically, I know you can get up here. If you crouch jump just right, you can get up that corner. That's another thing, is the jump height in this game is lower than Halo 2's, because every game's jump height is lower than Halo 2's. But you can clamber. So your actual accessibility height is pretty close to Halo 2, if not a little bit taller. Because Halo 2, your head can clear things just fine, but you can't clamber. So you have to have your feet be able to clear it as well. But in Halo Infinite, you just need to like be able to get your eyes over it, and you can clamber it. Oh yeah, it's easy now. Okay. This is like the perfect distance. This is awesome. Okay, cool. Let's check for comments. We should be able to recreate the Halo 2 map with the floating beam. You're talking about Headlong. City map popular for SWAT, CTF, King of the Hill, and Assault. That game is... that's top 5 best maps for Assault. Yeah. That's a cool one. That was actually one of the first ones remade in Halo 5 when some Community Forge members got their hands on the Halo 5 Forge. Here's the thing is remakes are going to be the things that come first. So I think by the time I finish this map, someone will have done a great job doing Headlong, and it would only be if I felt like I can contribute something meaningful that I would take a whack at doing it. I really wanted to tackle this one because I know it so well and it has kind of a special place for me, and because it is definitely going to be a challenge with the train, and I know it's possible. And it's not just like Lockout. You could build Lockout. There's not a whole lot dynamically going on Lockout. You don't have to try to script a train rushing through the middle of Lockout. There's not a whole lot that you have to worry about other than just blocking out the map and making it look beautiful. It's going to take plenty of effort, but the placement and object parameterization and getting all that down, that is fairly straightforward once you've spent a little bit of time. Really in any type of 3D environment. What's not as intuitive is the nodes, the visual scripting aspect. So this map requires both good ability to place objects in the 3D space and know how they're going to manifest, but also know how to script this train. So that's why I want to tackle this one, is it's because it's a multifaceted challenge. And I think I've seen basically every map try to get recreated so far. I mean, not every map, quite a few. I've not seen anyone try to tackle this one just yet, and I think that's why. Because this map, it's a great map, but this map is not the same map without the train. It just isn't. Like the train, like I said, it just makes everything better. Okay, here is an interesting one. How high do I need to make this? Am I going to guess it close again? If I had to guess, 10, I think it's pretty close to 50? 50? Ooh, I'm getting pretty good at this. A little bit less than 50. Oh, it's a weird... Huh. 48.8. Okay. Is that in the right spot? Yes. I mean, that already looks really good. But I need to know for sure exactly... Okay, no, that's definitely too tall. I can tell you that. Oh, no, it's not. So, one thing I can do is I can climb on top of this walkway and see proportionately how high this should be. So when I climb up here... Oh yeah, this needs to be taller. It needs to be taller. I could see this entire room easily from up here. That's the thing, is like what really matters is like does the gameplay match, you know? I think if I raise it let's raise it this 3.5. Let's just get this exactly to 670. Oh, that's not nearly enough. Okay. So I moved it 3.5. So if I move it another 0.5, that's 0.5. So that's 4. If I add 6, that's 10. Which means I need to decrease this by 10. How does that look? That looks better. It's still taller. I can look straight out and barely see the doorway. Interesting. Now, is there a good reason to do that? Ooh, I bet it's because over here, these people up there can see the people on this bridge. So I think we do need to raise it up. Let's raise it. Let's raise another 10, see how that looks. 8. And then make this 30. That looks way too tall, but let's see. Honestly, that looks pretty good. I can barely jump and hit my head on it. It's like, it's a little tall, I think. So we'll go decrease it by 4. So we'll go 34 and 82. Some things I just don't have an exact method for, and it's just kind of like, does it functionally work the same way? That looks pretty good, except it still seems a little low. I think I was standing in the wrong spot. No, that was a nice spot. I think that's good. And then if I'm running, yeah, it's like 1 unit too high. So we'll go 1 and increase that to 5. There. Yeah, perfect. Barely run and hit my head on it. Yeah, that jump's like fairly easy now. That was quick. I really like that jump. I love that it's like 97 percentile, like accessible. I don't know. I think it's good. Okay, that's good. This looks really good. And does this width still look good? It actually looks kind of narrow, but I can't tell if that's just because it's a little further away. I think so. Honestly, I built like this entire station around it being 5 units wide, so unless I want to like mess with everything, I think it's good. Let's take a look. Is it possible to recreate the Halo 3 map with a giant fan in the middle? I actually know that Zanzibar is what you're talking about. And it was originally, well, okay, it was called Last Resort in Halo 3. And Zanzibar in Halo 2. And Stone Town in Halo 2 Anniversary. And I know people have been working on it, but I've seen like 3 like proofs of concept of the map, and some of them are really well done. Like they're pretty well fleshed out. But I've yet to see one with a working fan. So I don't know. That's what I'm talking about. It's like the map's not quite the same if the fan's not turning, right? Like it just, that's the thing. When they were making Terminal, they said, what if we did a Zanzibar 2.0? Now, I would argue the train on Terminal is more integral to the map than the turning of the fan on Zanzibar. The fan doesn't really kill you, and doesn't honestly. It affects the gameplay a little bit in that you can use the fan blades to get places, but it's not the same type of impact, I think, as the train is. So you can still have a great time on Zanzibar even if the fan's not turning, but I don't think you could have as good of a time really on Terminal if there's no trains. So, but the answer is I'm sure someone will figure it out. But that's really what I'm talking about. Is like it's not enough to just be able to make the geometry of the map. You need to have either the know-how or the patience to figure out how to do that more dynamic stuff, like move a fan or have a working train, and also do like error handling, like to make sure the train doesn't like derail or despawn randomly or kill people when they're not even next to it, or not kill people when it's supposed to. Like there's just a lot of testing that goes into it. This looks really good. How's that height? Oh, there's support beams in here. Interesting. I mean, I could just repurpose these, but these support beams seem smaller. Maybe they aren't. Maybe they're the same size. They're running perpendicular. So you have all these running, we'll just call this north-south, and these running east-west. I mean, you don't interact with them at all, so it's not that it super matters. It'd be kind of fun if you could interact with them. Is the roof flat in here? The roof's really tall. I never realized like how high up that roof is in the defender's base. Yeah. I don't think it's flat. I think it just looks flat, but it is super tall. It goes all the way to the roof here. Like it goes way up there. And honestly, I think this should be a little bit higher. Like standing down here. Well, no, actually that... It's hard to tell. Everything looks smaller when you're zipping around as a monitor, and then when you actually like go back to human form, it's like, oh no, that is actually really big. You know what? I'm gonna leave it. I did just kind of put this. I just copied this roof and put it here. This overhangs. Actually, like, pretty much the perfect amount. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like down here under the tracks, and it is just past this beam. So I mean, that actually looks pretty good. Here's the thing: is like the parts of it that you don't interact with, the parts of the map you don't interact with, it's obviously not nearly as important. Having the skyline and what's above you and around you, like somewhat in the right spot, helps to sell the fact that you're on the same map, but it's not important to the gameplay. You know, what's interesting is I can actually use the geometry to kind of get a gauge of where it should be, so I should be able to stand. Now this ground needs some refinement. It's not quite where it needs to be. Although, side note, this ground is projecting what's already there onto it. You see that? Like someone did some donuts here, and now you see it here. It's just projecting it. So I have no control over what shows up on there. So what I did is I found a location where I can use the paths to look intentional in my map, right? Like it looks like vehicles drive through here, right? And that's what it looks like. And then I'm going to have like a little doorway there that'll be closed off, and then this goes right into the courtyard. If you look at it like top down, that's exactly how it looks. Vehicles go through there, then they curve over to the right. So I can just rely on what's already here, and I just need to worry about positioning my map in a way that I can use those pathways to make it look really organic. And it almost looks like I made them, but they're part of what's already here, and I just need to position my map around them, so it'll make sense. So yeah, that's good. You can see how like slow going this is. Like this entire stream, I've only like slightly built out this section. I think I'm ready to like get some of this geometry built. Do I want to keep using these walls? Let me double check that I can actually, because like obviously the color is terrible, like I'm not going to keep them this color, but can I like if I just did this brick and I wanted it this light blue color. Okay, I can modify the whole thing. And it's just 2 regions too. That actually is really good. Okay. That's good. That's good. I don't know, it doesn't really matter right now. Interesting. That's the design grid. What do I want the material of this to be? I know it's like you should really block it out and then worry about the material, but I have to copy this a few times. It's fine. I'll worry about the material later. I just need to get this side. Oh, cannot. Is that enough room? All right, let me get this. Come on, see what I mean? Go over there. Be with your friends. I'm actually supposed to be lining it up. And there's like a bunch of intersecting geometry. It's very hard to reliably use the magnets, so I don't think I'll be able to here. I can get it lined up here. Oh, but that's not what I'm doing. Lined up there. There we go. Maybe I can use it. If I want to use it, I have to get way down here. No. Okay. I'll just stop trying. Let me get this placed and I'll check for comments. Almost there. Okay, that looks good. Now just to make sure the height is good. It's a little too high. One more unit down. All right. Ooh. You know what? I should have done the support beams first and then stuck that in the middle. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I really need to show you guys what I'm seeing. Okay, let's check for comments. Okay. Oh, these are all one piece still? I'll use this one. Another odd quirk I noticed is I'll create prefabs where I'll group a bunch of things together and I can move them or rotate them as a single unit. But sometimes, even though they're connected, some pieces will move and others won't, which is super frustrating. Okay, so that goes there. That is the width of this. So if I make this, if I actually make this pillar 15 units, I don't need to make 2 individual pieces. Although I can't at the front, because if I made that, you guys can't see where I'm pointing, but if I made this 15 units across, you would see it sticking out, and you'd see it everywhere I had a pillar. So that wouldn't work. So I have to use 2 different units, and I slide the wall between them. Here, though, I could get away with just having a single piece. That's 15 units, and it would cut through. And I think I will do that. But it does mean I need to get rid of this prefab. Ooh, I forgot to say before I did that. That was risky. And I will unselect these 4 pillars. Then recreate the prefab. These curved angles took a very long time to get right. So I actually don't know why these aren't part of a prefab. They were at one point. So I don't want to avoid. I want to avoid accidentally like nudging one of them. So I just keep them together. Okay, this is independent from those. Now I should be able to. It is 5 units in the Z direction. If I move it horizontal, excuse me, negative 10 units and make it 10 units bigger. Yeah. So if I go negative 30 and make it, oh, yeah, 15 units wide. Perfect. Look at that. Do the same thing with this one. 30 and 15. Ha! Looks great. And now I can just sandwich this between them. Move this in the X direction. And this is down there, so we should be able to just move it. Cool. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, where sometimes the units are in the middle of the block. It's interesting. So if I want to move it, if I want to make it wider, it moves just on the left side. And if I want to make it taller, it moves on both sides. So if I make it 10 units taller, I have to then move it 5 units down to get the top to match back up. I don't know if that made any sense at all. So how tall is it now? It is 75 units. So I will increase it by I do know exactly how much I want to increase it. This is 40 units. So I will increase it by 40 and move it 20 units down. So 40 would put us at 115. And then I'll move it 20 units down. It gets me 659. Boom. Beautiful. These are in an uncomfortable distance from the edge of this roof. I either want it to line up or be further out than that. I like the idea of them lining up. Is that too much space where it would start to separate? Or will become noticeable? Yes, probably. Dang. Here's what I can do. This unit, this top one, is perfectly flat. So I can just decouple it from this prefab and either increase or decrease the distance on that. So in the original game, the roof actually sticks out pretty far. Much further than these pillars. So I think I'll do that. I'll do that right now, actually. Decouple it. Deselect that, recouple these, grab this, and I will make it, 4 units wider. So 255, and then move it to the right 2 units. Ah, that's great. So good. You know, what's interesting is these wooden pieces, beams, aren't sticking out of the station. That's a new, I added that. But how much more, like, I'm ignorant, guys. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. But how much more, like, of that industrial pseudo-African feel does that give it? Like, it's almost got some hut-like attributes where you got these exposed beams or pillars. I'm thinking of Uplift Reserve, the Halo 3 ODST mission / firefight level, where there's that building. It looks similar to this. It has a slightly sloping roof, and if I remember correctly, it has beams, but those beams extend past the actual canopy portion. Like, it looks more organic in a way. So I'm surprised they didn't carry those all the way through, because it looks really cool like that. So, yeah, these wooden beam pieces don't actually stick out on this side on the original map. But how much more, you know, how much more does that fit with the aesthetic? This, like, natural wood tone with, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what I'm talking about. But I like the way it looks, is what I'm getting at. I need to give these the same treatment. So 15 units wide, and they need to move out 10 units. And it needs to be at 115. And it needs to be 659 units up. You can build so high. This is going to be amazing for making some really cool skyscrapers, you know? Oh, we're done with the Halo soundtrack, I guess. This is Wolfenstein. I know that. We'll go OG soundtrack now. Oh, I need to give this the same vertical. Well, do I even need to? I don't think that's even exposed. Oh, it is, barely. Okay, yeah, no, I need to then. So what was it, 115 and 659.5? No, just 659. That was at 659.5 on the other one. No, I'm just crazy. Okay, good to know. 5 and 659. A lot of tinkering with coordinates and sizes. And then 15 and... Oh, this is what I was thinking of. 130.5. Ah, really gave me goosebumps. Looks so good. Ah, it's so cool. Okay. I'm a nerd, guys. 15. That's another thing, too, is you have to type your first number twice when you want to adjust these. So like, watch, I'll hit backspace, ready? Nothing. I'll hit it again. Now backspaces, and I can type freely, and it's fine. But the first keystroke I do, once I click into it, gets ignored. And if you're wondering, doesn't that mess you up occasionally? Yes. Yes, it does. Routinely. So, this 40 unit height is entirely made up. I just know I needed at least that high. Right, these are going to go into the ground somewhat. I don't know exactly how far in the ground, but I know at least 40 units in the ground. Alright, and this needs to be 120.5 in the horizontal and 6015 vertical. I can highlight and type just fine. Yep, that looks good. I just need to make sure the X coordinates are good. Ooh, look at that. Ah, so good. Hey guys, I mean this is actually coming together. Is there an opening there, or is that? I think that's supposed to be covered. That canopy was made first, which is really dumb. Shouldn't have done that. Now I gotta widen the whole thing, but you can't widen. It goes all the way to the wall. You can't widen a whole prefab. You can't manipulate the size and scale it. You have to decouple all of them and resize them all in the X direction, and then couple them back together. I can't just do this and, yeah, I cannot scale multiple objects at once. Even though they're all identical, won't let you do it. So this is like, I think this is like 20 units if I remember correctly, and I need more of an overhang over here. These pillars line up with the edge of this. This canopy edge, like this gray part, is supposed to line up with, ignore my lights, they're flickering, with this. But it was really tricky to find lip and gutter and road that all worked well together. This is rounded and this is angular, which I hate, but and the texture was good, and this is like a road, so it looks like a road, and it's got this great detail work underneath, which I would have to do manually if I wanted to use something other than this road piece. Like, look how good that looks. These are scaled down quite a bit, by the way. These are supposed to be like big pieces, of like freeway pieces. I scaled them down for this and then made them proportionately like the width and length they should be. These are basically my ruler for the map, is the road. And I'll see where things line up to know like where to put things. I forgot what I was getting at. Oh, so for here, I had to kind of make my own, because I don't want to make this a road, because this isn't a road, this is a walkway. But I kind of did my own, you know. It's made up of these are just what is it? They're trapezoids, but they're primitives. These concrete beams, and then a couple of these supports that I just scaled to be wide. And then I added just one light in there just to... I'm still getting used to the lighting. There's a lot you could do with lighting. So I just kind of wanted to add one for reference to see what that looked like. I think I would do the whole thing. One at each one. I don't even know what I was getting at. Oh, yeah. The width of this. Long story short, it's supposed to come to here, but that's not nearly far out enough. I think it needs to come more to like here. So I need to go about this far on that side and this far on this side. So probably about 25 units wider, but I have to do each of these. And I want to do it without turning on magnets accidentally and getting things to snap around. Okay, so magnets are off. Save real quick, because this would be a lot of work if I just accidentally messed all this up. Let me do this one. No, let me do this one. These all need to be a little bit taller, actually. There's a little bit of a gap there. Oh, no, there's not. Oh, okay. We're good, we're good, we're good. I could have given myself a little bit more room there, but whatever. Okay, so I need to have this measurement memorized. 715.3. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to lower it down and make sure it meets up with the road where it's supposed to. 200 units wide. What did I say? 225. That needs more room there, but it doesn't need to come over this far, that far on that side. So let's move it. I think I should have it intersects. I don't want to have any. I don't want to get any weird artifacts where light leaks through it. So I think there's no harm in like going a little bit extra. Let's just go a full unit. Why not? As long as it's not clipping through to the other side, then it doesn't really matter. Now to make sure this... Oh, and of course I don't have... Frick. I should have done it with this one. Okay. Dang it. Alright. What did I say? 225. And then... It was like 798. 693.35. 693.35. Ooh, that's actually pretty close. There we go. 693.35 is what I said, right? Actually, I should have stuck with it before. I liked it better that way. Well, let me look at my reference material. Oh, both ways for across the tracks. Yeah, you guys really need to see what I'm saying because I do get hit by the train still, and it is pretty funny. Ooh, it's right where this edge ends. Interesting. I really should end it here. Dang, I don't want to do that. It's just this, and is that going to cause a problem elsewhere? No, it literally does not matter except in this one small section. Oh, interesting. Okay, discovery. These end here. There's a little building, like a little spot where you can buy tickets right here. And then on this side of it, these go all the way across. Until you get to another doorway right here. Then it doesn't come over anymore. Interesting. So basically from these backward, it has to go all the way to the wall. From these forward, it has to go only a little bit past. Interesting. What if it did go all the way over on both ends? How would that look? Oh, there's like an overhang here. Yeah, that wouldn't work. Very interesting. Okay, so yeah, this needs to end a little bit shorter. Size. 221, and I'll move it over. Okay, so it's pretty much lined up with the wall, so I can just move it over to where I need it. That's good. Okay, and as I predicted, completely forgot what my unit was up here. Well, I'll tell you what. I got the horizontal right. It's like I don't have a pad of paper and a pen right in front of me, right? So y is 26.23. That's x is negative 796.5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put magnets back on. Have this snap. There. Okay. Oops. Turn off magnets. Now put it back where it needs to be. 26.23, that's still right. Forward, that's x negative 796.5. Really? Yes. 796.5. Okay. This piece here is precisely where it needs to be and how big it needs to be. I need to resize these pieces and then I can just magnetize them. See, I can already see a mistake right here. It's going to try to magnetize in 3 different locations on this axis here, and it looks like it's magnetized in the center. It's supposed to magnetize on top. So these need to be repositioned anyway. But this is going to be my guide, is this one right here. Okay. The only thing I need to change in the dimensions is the width. It needs to be 221. 221. Then I just line it up. I need to get to bed, but it goes all the way till this is where the roads come in handy. There's the road piece that this block intersects with right here. On my map it doesn't quite line up, but on theirs it does. The road wall intersects with that, and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Exactly 3 road pieces. So 1, 2, 3. So we'll do this one the same way. And then we can, you know what? We can just do them all because they all need to move over to there. So, and this is covered by another piece of geometry. So we'll just do them all. So 221. Nice part about being on top is that it magnetizes to where you need it to, and not like in the middle or in the bottom. Like I said, guys, I am still learning. Okay, yeah, this one too, for sure. And then all the way up till I'm telling you guys, these road pieces line up exactly with the other pieces of geometry. It makes this so easy. No guesswork. I just know in the other map, you have one road piece. Now you have two road pieces as a buffer. Oh, did I not size that right? No, I did. Yeah, there's 3 road pieces before the slope. So you get 2 road pieces of buffer where there's like a wall, and then 1 piece where there's no wall, and then a slope. So right here, you can imagine an invisible wall going straight up. So that means this piece here needs to go clear across. I don't know exactly how far. It needs to go across the whole road, though, that's for sure. Yeah, with the edge of this piece here. So I'm going to do the same deal, except I have to make it a lot wider. I'm thinking like, wait, I could actually tell you. It's got to be 30 units, and then that overlaps a bit, but I'd say like 32 units. And we'll add 32 units. We'll go 232. Oh no. Oh, it's got to go 32 units on top of what? Of 21. So we had 21 to this. That should be 53. Just experienced some like hiccuping or like glitching, so hopefully we don't crash. Alright, it's trying to intersect with some piece. Is it these pieces of wood over here? I think so. It won't like go through these wood pieces. Kind of annoying. So that means I gotta save. Human mode. Oh no, I have to actually load the map. Player mode. Yeah, you see how quick, how fast the Warthog just takes off? You have to scale a map up for that. Like, you just need to have more room. Especially to, like, truly maneuver the vehicles around, like, unless you want people to just not use them. Like, you need to have space for them to actually, yeah, so you can very easily bring this through here. They definitely fixed the vehicles in this game since last time I played. I remember the Warthog being terrible, but it actually feels pretty good. Okay, so we went into player mode. That wood piece should be gone. This should all be built back together. La-di-da. Now I should be able to move this through the floor. Okay. Fix you. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. We're good. We're good. Okay, now where does this line up? And it goes... Nope, not that far off. So that would be good. I want to say a little bit less. Like there. And where are we at? Yeah, a little bit more room. So I'll go 255. And then horizontal. Nope. I just messed up the horizontal. I'll have to use magnets again. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's safely in there. All right, I need to write this down. 813. Now I can just get this line with the magnets. Should be. I was gonna say it should be pretty close actually to the other ones there. But this will give me my Z and Y. Then I can remove the magnets. Oh, it stayed at 813. Look at that. Cool. Oh, that looks much better. Dang. Look at that. How cool is that? Okay. This needs the same treatment. It goes 255 units. This is the kind of stuff that, like, you are not going to know by memory. You know? I don't care how good memory is. You're not going to remember exactly where this overhang went to and, like, which sections it went over. Like, just, I can just look at it and just, oh, that's where it goes. Like, invaluable, really. Alright, I believe these are the same width. Yeah, these are the same width here. So I can do those pretty easily. And I will do the openings where the train comes in. Those openings are short, and I can tell you exactly why. I know precisely why these openings are short. These openings right here. It stops right about there. You're probably wondering, well, why doesn't it just go all the way up? It kind of like gives this nice airy feeling and looks great. Well, look what you have an exact sight line to from the safety of, you know, this building here. You can just straight up see the enemy team base. Almost from your base, you know? I just got it by the train. And so the wall ends exactly there. And as I mentioned previously, it also adds a bit of risk to jumping down because you cannot see the train coming. Now, I think I will raise it a bit here because one thing that's really frustrating is when you're trying to maneuver around the tracks, you'll actually hit your head on that opening. And I think just raising it like a unit or two would still give enough coverage. I mean, we'll see, hopefully. But will prevent you from like knocking your head on that. What am I looking for? Forward 766.2. This is 766.2. This I don't want to be 766.2 because that would put this corner piece halfway through. This should still be good there. I need to decrease the height and increase the width. No, I'm getting tired when I can't remember what I'm doing. This one, jeez. Okay, 50. Ooh, close. I bet you it's the width of this thing. 66. No, it's not. And it's wider. Yeah, no, okay. $53 units exactly. And Z I'll call, let's make it a square, 53. All right, I know that's not lined up. I just want to see how this looks. That actually looks pretty close. But remember, I want to manipulate that a little bit to make it so the doorway is not super annoying. Alright, I'm getting up on top of the walkway. I'm going to stand at the edge in the center, and I can see past the bridge. Yeah, it's like bang on. It's like, go here. This is actually a little bit lower. This is a little bit lower, but with the scaling, maybe your head could still clear it. Oh yeah, totally. So honestly, the banging your head was never going to be an issue anyway. Before I knock my Steam Deck off my desk. Yeah, not going to be a problem. And I can't see their base. I can see this roadway, which I think is intentional. Cool. Okay. That all is looking really good. You know what's funny is this looks like the exact same height. Not here. Here. Oh, duh. I need to fix that. So if I go up, 1, 2. Oh, I forgot where it was at. Shoot. It was like 601, right? So if I go up, I shouldn't even have done this at all. So we'll just leave it at 601. Let me just make sure this still looks good. It's a little bit higher, I know. Hello, train. And if I get back here, I can kind of see into their base. I mean, that's like 1-to-1. But do I want that? I honestly think this is good. I don't want this to be too advantageous of a position. Now, will I hit my head is the question. No, still no. It almost looks too low. Yeah, it's too low. We'll go back up to where it was, 601. Or we can go to a half. Nah, let's just do the whole thing. So size X, we want to go to right, this vertical is 661, so keep that in mind. We need to get this lined up. It's going to be easier to do it this way. We also need to make sure this is the right Y coordinate. 120.5. Oh, but I flipped it, and it's 5 units wide, so now it needs to be 125.5. And I need to move it forward. And then like 45? No, like 35. Let's leave it 35. And then the height was 661, right? It's already looking really good. I need to add the gutters on that side too. So good. There's actually a little piece of wall that sticks out to basically where this yellow starts. It's so tiny though, is it like really worth putting in? You know? It would add some like detail, which is nice because I don't like having it like just a flat big piece. I'd prefer some separation, I guess. I'll trim it out with something. I'll trim it out with something eventually, but this is good for now. I'm just going to add this, and then we'll call it a night. And it was 120. Okay. Do 65, 70, 69. 69.1. Okay. Vertical will go. Is it going to be the same? No, it's going to be taller. Oh, perfect. Being able to go inside of these blocks now is insane. It's amazing. So is this a unit too low then? No? Interesting. I mean, you can't see it regardless, so it really doesn't matter, but it is curious why it doesn't line up right there. Interesting. That means this one should be a unit off too. Yep. Or 0.10 of a unit. But it'll probably tell me it's perfectly lined up. Yep. Alright. Let's build one more time. I can see it already. This 100% needs more cover in here. Like, it was a lot more compact in the original, this area, with how big it is now. It was already a lot to not have cover before. Also, previously, you could easily jump to there. Now it takes like a fair bit of skill to actually. There's no clamber in Halo 2, but now, like, I mean, I guess it's not that hard, but still, that's a lot of room to run without cover. So I'm thinking about lining some more billboards or something down this strip, similar to how I did it up here. Just so you have something to straddle, you know? I don't know. We'll see. I'll kind of worry about the sightline blocking later. It's just important that I'm happy with the size of it, which it's feeling a little big. But then again, I've never made a map that was 12v12 before. So it might actually be okay. I don't know. And another thing to keep in mind, there's going to be more cover in here than it looks like. Right now it feels very open. There's going to be a big wall there. There's going to be a big block that I'm walking into right now where there's complete coverage all the way till this line here. And then the same distance on this side all the way to this line. Complete coverage. I like this. This is a good first step. I almost feel like I need two more. Like there and there. You know? That I feel would like... It's like a little too narrow to have that. If it was just the signs, I think the benches make it feel too narrow. So I like benches though. I feel like there should be benches at a train station. Maybe I line them along here. Maybe I straddle them. I have a sign, benches, sign. I don't know. I feel like the sign's good. It's the benches that are a little bit problematic. I need to increase the width of these pillars. Actually, I need to duplicate them like there because this roof line's too steep to just make it wider. And then I have to copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Actually, not this one, but the rest of those 4 over here, and then shrink them down, because this side's a lot further down. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. This is my happy place, guys. Like, they've removed so many barriers to creativity. Like, I think of ideas for this, and I can just bring them to fruition in comparatively not a lot of time. Now, we are still talking about probably hundreds of hours of work ahead of me. But it's fun, and it's instantly rewarding, right? You asked earlier about Halo 3 and forging in Halo 3 days, and holy cow, man, like, you had to be really into Forge to try to build maps in that thing. Because it wasn't like you have an idea and you can bring it to life in, you know, a couple hours. It was like days for something that comparatively was like you could do in minutes now, right? Like, you could never make anything like this in Halo 3. Obviously. That's going to be a big clock right there. I feel like that's a nice touch. Train stations should have a clock, right? And that's easy to script. That I could do that. I know how to do that now. It's just, are the arms going to work as they're supposed to, or are they going to like flip out like on Halo 5? It just kind of breaks up. That's what makes a map not feel like a Forge map and feel like a dev map, is breaking up those like solid pieces. Especially like this big thing here. Like, I need something. Like, I mean, I like the idea of a billboard, but I can tell you right now, there are 6 billboards, and I've already used all 6 of them 3 times. On these poster things, you know. Like, all 6. I've used them all 4 times. Are on each of these things to try to make it not look like it's all the same thing. But it totally is. I just flip them, you know. It's like this one here is the same as this one there. And this one's the same as that one. A billboard would go perfect there. Ooh, a billboard? And then arms for lights that point up at it. You know what I mean? You've probably seen those on the side of the road where you have a billboard and then there's these little arms with lights on the end. But you can use those lights to traverse right there and get across. But I don't want to reuse a billboard, because I could tell you right now, everyone's map that's even remotely city themed, you are going to see these billboards everywhere. Literally everywhere. I actually like the idea of using a billboard that's been flipped around. Just because it's got like interesting texture and stuff on it. It's got some actual depth to it, whereas this flat wall is not really doing anything for me. That's why I had it facing the other way. Is I was like, ooh, that actually would look pretty cool. It's just like anywhere I need a big wall with texture on it, that might actually work okay. And that can be resized in all dimensions too. But yeah, I need something there. I need something to break that up. All of these I kind of do, but really right there. This one would be fine. I'm going to have planters there, and that should be enough. Maybe like a window? Ooh, what if that was like a big window? Like, you can't shoot through it, but you could... It was like framed. I don't know. I do know that I need to get to bed. And I have absolutely no self-control when it comes to forging. I would literally do this indefinitely, which says something about, you know, I don't know what. Maybe I need to look into a career in like map design or something, because I could do this. I do this for free, but I would do it to get paid like indefinitely. Like, I never get sick of this ever. Like, it sucks that I need sleep, you know, that I have to go to bed because my body will not continue to function if I keep staying up to 2 in the morning forging. That's how much I love doing this. Man. Made a lot of progress today, though. I'm very happy with this. And it doesn't look like a ton, but this is the biggest structure that you interact with on the map. This is the main focal point. So getting that done and being able to extrapolate beyond that is going to be really important. Like, this needs to be right, you know. This still feels super open, but I keep telling myself there's going to be more cover here in this area, and that should... It'll be good. It'll be good. Okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, for those of you on the tail end of the stream, if you've been subscribed to my channel for a long time, you'll know that this actually started off as a forging, like Halo forging channel back in Halo 2 Anniversary, when that was new in 2014, and it has evolved to being a tech review channel, which I do and I love doing, and I don't have time to forge as much, but I'm recently getting back into it because it's just so accessible now. And as I said, I'm very passionate about this, and being able to just have an idea and just make it happen. And like the barriers and the obstacles to doing it have been brought down so dramatically that it's too tempting to not jump back in. And this map in particular, I really want to have a whack at before everyone does a version of it. And I'm not saying mine's going to be the best or whatever. It's more, I want to do it and make sure that everything I'm doing is my own ideas. Like, it's fine to take inspiration. I have a whole notepad of what I'm taking inspiration from. For example, Halo 2, Halo 3 ODST, modern day Mombasa, if you look up the city in Eastern Africa, Johannesburg, South Africa. That's almost like what Mombasa will look like maybe 100 years in the future. It's got an African influence, but it's also very metropolitan, and it's a major city with hundreds of thousands of people living in it, if not millions. The movie District 9, which originally started out as a Halo project, it's got African ties and it's future sci-fi. Elysium and Chappie, all directed by Neil Blomkamp, who sets all of his movies in kind of the same setting. Elysium actually has a Halo type structure on it. It's kind of cool. Bazaar, the map in Halo Infinite, obviously. Stone Town and Zanzibar. Now, obviously the wheel maps from Halo 3 and Halo 2 Anniversary, respectively, but that's an actual location. Zanzibar is an island or a city on an island that's off the coast of Eastern Africa, and Stone Town is a province, like a district on that island. It's very close to where the current Mombasa is. It's just off the coast, like, I don't know, 60 kilometers south or something. And if you like Google Maps and like go to Street View on there, it literally looks like you're walking through the Halo 2 map outskirts. The really tight alleyways with the tall buildings, and you have... What I love about the Halo 2 is it's such a unique atmosphere. You have these really old... Some of these buildings are 15th, 16th century, like really old buildings. And then you have all this like sci-fi equipment and antennas, and like it's just this juxtaposition is just so unique. It's not cyberpunk, right? Like that is not... This is taking place 500 years, 550 years in the future, 40 years in the future, whatever. I think the gut instinct is to push toward a cyberpunk look, which is cool, but that's not what this map is, right? This is New Mombasa in 2552, Human Covenant War. It's a very unique setting, right? Nairobi, Kenya. So Mombasa actually is in Kenya. Nairobi is, if it's not the capital, I think it's still the biggest city. It's the only city in Kenya. I don't know this for sure, but it's got skyscrapers. One of the few places in Kenya that's got like legit skyscrapers. But again, it's got that strong like African influence. And then Uplift Reserve, which I already talked about from the Halo 3 ODST mission and firefight map. So, long way of saying, I take inspiration from many places, but I wanted to make this map before I let any other forgers influence my decision making. So I wanted to just ensure everything I was doing was my own ideas, you know? And I couldn't guarantee that if other people had already done this map and I saw what they were doing, and began to make the map after them, because then it's like, well, how much of this is really coming from me and how much of this was inspired by someone else, which isn't necessarily wrong, but for me, I just wanted to really see where my creativity led me organically. I don't know. I need to go to bed. Thanks for tuning in. I have some cool videos coming out. I mean, we're streaming. I may as well talk about what I'm going to be reviewing. I've been talking about my Steam Deck all night. This little kickstand is what I'm going to be reviewing. It is called the Deckmate, and it's actually a whole attachment system that uses a quick release. Whoa, just whacked myself in the face. A quick release to place items into the square cutout on the back. So it's hard to do one-handed, but there you go. Just like that. And it's got that, and it's got pucks. It's got all kinds of things you can quickly snap things into place. It is essentially what the Project Kill Switch was supposed to be before they realized there were issues with the magnets. If you didn't see that video, I made a whole video on Project Kill Switch and that whole fiasco. Great case, but the magnet mechanism, unfortunately, is not going to work. So they have to switch to something mechanical, which is what the Deckmate is. The Deckmate is very affordable, and they even, I say they, but it's really just one guy, made his 3D like CAD files available, so you can just 3D print it yourself if you don't want to buy it from him, which is super cool. Very like pro-consumer. So anyway, that video is coming out soon. Stay subscribed if you want to watch that. That's my regularly scheduled content. I'm likely to keep doing this. I really had fun today answering questions and forging and just speaking my ideas and my inspiration around Forge as I'm doing it. It's very cathartic, if nothing else. If you did manage to watch all this, thank you. I appreciate it. And if you want more Forge and late night ramblings, yeah, stay subscribed. Thanks for watching, guys. And I'll catch you in the next one.